made the statement that my response was, "I'll try." So he gave me 4 Marines to help me. I got to select them. I took 2 out of my squad because I knew them. But 2 other Marines just standing around or lying around, I selected them. Picked up a flamethrower and started advancing toward the pillboxes. Back at that time, we had a guy or a position that we would put a Marine in that we called a pole charge man. And before we left Guam, we had put together pole charges, we called them. A 2x2 piece of wood about 8 feet long with a 12-inch board nailed to the end of it. We'd put explosives on that, tape it on, and then put a fuse in it so that when a cave was burned out or a pillbox was burned out, the pole charge man's job was to run in and stick it in the pole charge in the cave or the pillbox, set it off to make sure that all in there were gone. I selected a guy by the name of Sliger. He was a PFC. He was going to be my pole charge man that day. On the first pillbox, he got hit in the helmet, penetrated the helmet, hit the liner inside, went around to the back, threw him back in the hole we just crawled out of, and Sliger was done. Alive, but done. I didn't have any more pole charge man that day. Much of that afternoon of 4 hours are blank. 2 or 3 things are so vivid I've never been able to forget them, but some of it is just blank. One of those things that's just blank is how did I get the other 5 flamethrowers? I used 6, according to witnesses that wrote up the citation. I have no memory. I have said, I'm reasonably certain that none of those Marines back there said, just wait, I'll bring you out one. I don't think that ever happened. A couple of the pillboxes I remember very vividly. One had a pipe in the top of it where the enemy was in the pillbox, and that's where they were living. And there was a smoke coming up out of the pillbox. I have no idea what it was from. I always assumed it was from firing their weapons. But at least I saw this little trickle of blue smoke. So I got up on top of the pillbox and used that pipe to get my flame in. They didn't give us any more trouble after that. One other time, I was approaching the pillbox pretty close. I had to get within 15, 20 yards. And whether they ran out of ammunition or what happened, I have no idea. But all of a sudden, several of them, and I don't know the count, I wasn't saying 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, but they charged around the pillbox with bayonets fixed and to get me, and I got them first. So I remember those very vivid moments but so much of it never stayed. During that day, those two Marines that I selected, I did not know, sacrificed their lives protecting mine. Once I found out that happened, I didn't know it at the time, but once I found out that happened, this Medal of Honor took on a different significance. I said from that point on, it does not belong to me. It belongs to them. I wear it in their honor, not mine. I keep it shined for them because there is no greater sacrifice than someone who sacrifices their life for you, for me. PFC Charles Fisher and Corporal Warren Bornholtz were those two individuals. So they never got to come home. Had it not been for my commanding officer and 4 other Marines who were willing to write up and then testify as to what happened that particular day at that particular hour, I would not be standing before you, and I would not be the possessor of the Medal of Honor. There are very few things in this world that we can do alone. Every day, all of us depend on somebody else to provide for us in some way, whether it be the air conditioner or the heat in your house or the telephone you carry in your pocket. Today, and for the last few years, throughout America, dedicated Americans are coming together and placing in their community a Gold Star Family Memorial Monument to honor the families of that community who gave more than any of us. They gave one of their own. "64 communities at this point in 45 states have said we need to remember and to pay tribute and honor to the families who sacrificed a loved one in the armed forces. Regardless of how that may have happened, the grief is the same, the loss is the same. We've got 5 states to go. And we're going to get it. We're going to do it. It's going to happen. One of the things that grieves me is that in our nation's capital, where I am told there's something like 1,100 kinds of memorials or monuments or honors. There is not one thing, one mention, one indication paying tribute to the families who sacrificed a loved one for all of us. If there's any place in the country that there should be honor and tribute to those families, it is our nation's capital. So with that, I'm going to ask the question. And I'd like to see a show of hands, if you would be so kind. All of those in this audience who at some time in our history, going all the way back, up to the current date, that had a relative, regardless of that relationship, that sacrificed their life, that lost their life in the armed forces, whether combat, training accident, plane going down, illness, whatever it may be. If you are one of those who's had that happen, could I see just a show of hands of all of those? Thank you very much. Could the rest of us thank them for their sacrifice? If I were to make a quick judge of an estimate, I would say at least 40. There are so many in the country that don't even realize they are a Gold Star family because they've never been subjected or educated in any way to realize that their relationship to that individual makes them a Gold Star family. Thank you all. Thank you.